We are live now. Starting your own company can be a daunting but rewarding process. While a great business is a crucial for founders, financing is the one of the most important element a company needs to succeed. However, financing a startup or small business can be difficult. So, every business idea needs a solid financial footing to get launched. After exhausting the goodwill of every family member and your friends, entrepreneurs have to try new ways to find investors to land the funding they need. A very good afternoon and namaskar. I'm Devanshi Sharma, your host and your host. And on the behalf of the entire team of Jabalpur Incubation Center, I welcome to all the viewers to the startup training specially designed for the startups of Jabalpur Smart City. So I have here with me my co-host, Mr. Akash. Hi, Akash.
Hi, ma'am. Hi, sir.
Hi.
Hi.
Before we begin the session, let me quickly introduce our prominent guest, Mr. Shreekant Pawar, co-founder of Sketchnote. Here he'll be discussing how to find the investors for from small businesses और क्या-क्या ways हो सकते हैं जो हम small businesses के लिए investment और capital को gain कर सकते हैं. So stage is over to you, Shreekant sir.
All right. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. मुझे कहा गया कि that I have to speak in English, so I will just before anything, I'm going to just feel free to ask me questions in English, Hindi, or Marathi as well. But so the way I want to take this ahead here is that I'm going to speak like about for 20 minutes and explain about my journey and basically my failures, a lot of failures and till where we are right now, till where I am right now. And then after 20 minutes, I will open the stage for questions. But in the meantime, if anyone has like pressing questions or something like that, that you cannot wait for 20 minutes, please feel free to like just ask the questions on the comments box, and then Devanshi or Akash would just like relay them to me. But again, first things first, congratulations everyone. Unfortunately, I cannot see you. I don't know how many people are here, but congratulations on taking this very, very important step. And I know it that it is a very important and a very difficult journey that you're embarking on. So I think first things first, take a deep breath, have a coffee or tea, and give a pat to yourself on your back that you're gonna do it. You're gonna do it, and you're absolutely gonna kill it. So congratulations, everyone. And the way I'm gonna tell you is that I'm gonna tell you like my journey, and basically I've done like donkey startups, and I have failed in most of the startups. And that's why everyone, I tell everyone that look, maybe like I'm not a like an MBA professor or something like that, and that's something you should be staying away from when you are doing a startup, because startup is all about execution, it's not about theory. Having said that, I'm not saying that you should discount the theory, right? You should definitely learn the theory, you should definitely learn the books, and then basically just do whatever actually works for you. So having said that, I will again press on this that I'm going to keep it very informal. I'm not much older guy. Yes, of course I'm old, but I'm going to just be very informal, and I can totally relate to you all. And maybe like with my story, you can also relate to as well. So I started my startup journey way back in 2004 when the word startup did not even exist. So to be honest, I never wanted to do a startup because I didn't know what a startup is, and especially like I'm in Bombay. The even though like the businesses were going on and stuff like that, I was not interested in anything remotely business related. To be honest, I wanted to be a musician. So you can see the guitars. I have a guitar here as well, and I've got like more guitars and that kind of stuff. So basically, what happened is that uh, 2004 mein, that I just graduated from pharmacy, and I had like made up my mind that I'm going to be a musician. That's it. And I wanted like money to buy guitar, like my first guitar. And I didn't know, like, of course, I cannot ask my mom to for the money and that kind of stuff, right? So I had a band in 2004, and we were playing shows all over India. We were playing in IIT. Then we got invited for IIT Kharagpur and IIT Delhi and those kind of places. And then what happened? My keyboard player, he was a bachelor of engineering guy, and his twin brother was working for this small company in Silicon Valley, and he was making like shit ton of money. And I was like, bhai tu karta kya hai, right? How are you making so much money? And he's like, oh no, you know what, I don't know, I just code in PHP because that was the language then back then. And it's just very incredibly interesting work. We are making this thing. There's a startup I'm working for. He was the fourth employee there. And I was like, oh man, this is, I don't know what startup is. This is like, the days of Yahoo chat in 2004. I used to like, I had a computer, but like when my, there's that dial up connection going on and that kind of stuff. And he said that, what, they are looking for someone who's interested in doing business. And I'm like, well, maybe I may be interested in doing business, but I'm definitely interested in like knowing how these things work and stuff. And I attended this interview. I still remember that day. The dial-up connection failed and I had to go to a internet cafe, and they interviewed me over Yahoo chat, and they gave me a job. And I was like, wow, I got a job. I don't know what I'm gonna do. And basically, this was the time when like Google, the Gmail had just launched in 2004. Google Analytics was launched in like 2002 or something like that. Just now how people are like figuring out Web3, I was figuring out Web2 in terms of like ad networks and that kind of stuff. I literally, I was a fifth employee at this startup in Silicon Valley. I was working directly with the co-founders. When I started, these guys were making $100 a day, and for me that was like, wow, that's massive. That means like you're at a 3000 MRR. And I was like, this is killer. And for I was working for like 18 hours a day. I mean, the guitar took a back step, and I was just like figuring out these things, and in no time I was making a lot of money because the startup was making in from $100 a day, we were making like $3000 a day. That is 2004. And I was managing marketing, I was managing finance, everything. I was just figuring out myself, right? And stuff like that. And then basically, to be honest, there's so much money coming in, but I was not interested because the money was in my bank, right? There was money in my father. He got so scandalized because what I would do is that I would just like lock myself in the room, and for 18 hours I'm like working in front of the computer, and my father would be like, where is this money coming from? And he was so scandalized. He thought that मेरा बेटा drug dealer है, नहीं तो porn industry में कुछ काम कर रहा है, something like that. He actually went to the Canara Bank manager where the wire would come every month, and he's like, ये wire कहाँ से आ रहा है, आप ये trace करो और ये find out करो कि ये इतना पैसा मेरा बेटा 21 साल का बेटा कैसे कमा रहा है types. And the bank manager is like, I don't know, this is like a small startup or company in Silicon Valley. So basically what we would do is, basically we were a file transfer company. It was called usendit.com. And this was way before Dropbox or RapidShare and that kind of stuff was working on. And after 2 years, YouSendIt had raised $20 million in seed funding, and I had even done their pitch decks and that kind of stuff. And I quit for the biggest mistake of my life, which was MBA. And there's nothing wrong with MBA. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong. It was just like I went to UK to study, and in my first year itself, I realized that okay, this, for people who want to do it, please just by all means do it. It was just not good for me because I had made up my mind in my first year of my B school that, look, I'm not gonna do a job, I'm gonna go back to India and I'm gonna start up myself. And I did. So basically what happened was that I came back. All right. So one more interesting thing is that while I was at the uni, right, I was doing 3 jobs. It was illegal for students to do 3 jobs. I was working in a bank, I was working in a call center in the UK. In the morning I would attend lectures, and then in the evening I would work as a waiter. And believe it or not, the most amount of money that I made was as working as waiter. And because I would, get a lot of tips. So essentially what I would do is that, from the first from the first job, that as I was working in a bank, I was working part-time in a bank. I would use that money to basically use for my daily needs and that kind of stuff, for paying the rent and stuff. And for from the call center and from the waiting job, I would put that money aside. And then, I started, like, I hired like one developer in India, and I started working on my startup. And basically that's the first thing that, I would do. But unfortunately that startup failed because, I gave up very, very quickly. Essentially what I was doing is that I was making a kind of a tool which would basically schedule your email in the future. It was called Future Scrap. So you could like schedule your email in the future, so, that kind of stuff. And I, obviously these are the days before social media and that kind of stuff. I could not get it off the ground, and it failed. But 2 years later, there was this one startup from Mumbai did the same thing, and they sold their company to Rediff for $20 million after 2 years, right? So first things first, I would just like, let everyone know that, okay, this is the first thing that you can do, is that maybe work part-time, all right, and just get that kind of money and reinvest that in your startup, right? That's the first thing. The second, so basically I came back, I started two other startups. Okay, they were angel invested by the co-founders of Usended from the Silicon Valley, all right. And basically the thing what, people actually look for is not about like your failures. Everyone understands that, you are gonna fail. Take it like for granted, take it for granted that your default will be failure, and then you have to move ground up by from there. And then, you will be basically like, 90% of the startups fail all the time. Keep that in mind, and then afterwards, you move on, right? So basically those two of angel funded again, so basically it's the angel investors, what they look for is the conviction of the founders, right? Whether the main thing is that, whether do you know what you're doing or not, right? But main thing is that even if you basically are sucking at your thing or whatever, you will suck 100%. Take it from me, right? But do not quit, right? And then, even if your failure happens, get up again, start up again, right? So basically, in those two failures, I had lost all my money, all the money which I had earned in UK, all the money which I had earned at YouSendIt and everything. I lost everything. And now basically I was sitting in my bedroom, and मैं सोच रहा हूँ यार, आई डोंट नो, पैसा चला गया, गर्लफ्रेंड भी चली गई, अब मैं करूँ क्या टाइप्स, आई मीन, I was like, okay, I didn't have any, but that time I was into, I mean, right now as well, I love comic books a lot. So I was like, you know what, let me just start a hobby project. So what I wanted to do is that, I wanted to just open source my comics. I had like boxes and boxes of comics with me while I was growing up. I would read everything, right from Chacha Chaudhary, Tinkle, to like DC Comics, Marvel, and those kind of things, everything like, Archie's and that kind of stuff. So I was like, I just went to Craigslist, and I found out that, I found out like two young developers who were in PHP, and I told them that, look, भाई, मेरे पास 25,000 रुपया है, मैं आपको 25,000 दूंगा, आप मेरे लिए एक कॉमिक्स वेबसाइट बनाओ जिसमें सीधा स्ट्रेट, आई विल स्कैन माय कॉमिक्स, and then, people can come in and just read. And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem, we'll do it. And they did it in like 1 month's time. I started scanning my comics with my with my printer and putting them, and I went live. And the next morning I wake up, the site had crashed because there was so much traffic. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I again, like, I put on another server, and then this thing started happening. And basically there was like, so like, the supply demand was that, so many people wanted to like, come and read comics, but there were not enough comics. I had those comics, but I did not have time to scan them. It was that much. And basically what I did is that, I had put an ad on sulekha.com and saying that I need youngsters who can scan my comics for 5 rupees. And I got like these two guys in Assam, and I shipped the comics to Assam. They were like scanning my comics and other things, and I told them that go to Raddiwala, get like comics and just put it. And in 6 months time, my website was the top 70,000 website of the world. We were making so much money, it was unbelievable, right? So but I knew it, right? I knew it, this is a major problem, because what I'm doing is like piracy. It's massive piracy. I knew that this is gonna, like, gonna be a major problem. Lot of like these press, Times of India, Indian Express wanted to get in touch with me, but they didn't know who's running this, because I didn't want to show my face, right? Who's running this kind of thing. And then I knew that, okay, this is going to be a problem. So what I started doing is that I started getting in touch with like illustrators, comic creators, animators, saying that, hey, why don't you put in your own comics, your original comics, right? And basically, like, just I will pay you a commission on whatever the ad money that I get, right? And I got like about 5 or 10 people who were interested in doing that, and they started putting their comics. But in the meantime, I got like a cease and desist letter from DC Comics for $5 million. And here's the fun part, that my father was a judge, and and my brother was a lawyer, and I was a criminal, right? I couldn't tell them. मैं किस मुंह से जाके बोलता कि भाई मुझे बचा लो, डैडी मुझे बचा लो टाइप्स. I could not do that, right? I absolutely could not do that. But still, I told my brother that, hey, you know what? I was making a lot of money in a very short amount of time, and what to do. And he's like, भाई बंद कर दे, बंद कर दे, criminal है तू, बंद कर दे, कुछ नहीं कर सकते types. I still have that cease and desist notice, by the way. I think I will frame that and I'll keep it somewhere. And so again, the long story short, basically, I bootstrapped. I did not take money from anyone. So bootstrapping, if you guys don't know what bootstrapping is basically, whatever the money you earn from the company, you put that back into the business and start growing that company. And till this date, I absolutely am a big proponent of bootstrapping, because when you bootstrap, right, you don't have anyone's head on your or whatever, and that kind of stuff. You can take your own decisions. There are some cons as well, which I'll go through it, and that kind of stuff. But you can do a lot with bootstrapping as well. So that was the second thing. Now basically what happened is that, fortunately, I had closed that website, but there was this. I'm in Bollywood, so there was this like Bollywood producer. He got to know about me, and he wanted to make Byomkesh Bakshi comics. And I'm like, sir, you know what? This is a problem. And he's like, but your domain is really important for me. I mean, it's already famous and that kind of stuff. So he bought my website. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I sold it. He gave me money. That is crazy. So now I had like a little bit of money with me, but basically I didn't know, like, what to do next. Again, the same question. So now the time was 2008. Steve Jobs had launched his iPhone in 2007. All right. And 2008, the App Store was launched. I had done a lot of research and I found out that, okay, apps are going to take over the world, whatever that was. Again, so, I had some money, right? But, I told my mom that, mom, मुझे Bangalore जाना है. Bangalore is the Silicon Valley of India. I'm in Bombay. There's like, I cannot find anyone here and that kind of stuff. Mom is like, she cried and blah, blah, blah and stuff like that. And she's like, okay, if you want to go, you go. And you know what? You want some help from me? Take it. And I'm like, yeah, I've got some money, but maybe a little bit more might be of help. And I still remember, if you guys know about Bombay a little bit, there is Hira Panna, where you could, in 2008, you could buy, iPhone was not there in India, right? So you could only buy unofficial iPhones. So I actually my mom and me, we went to Hirapanna, and I still remember I bought my first iPhone 3 from Hirapanna for 17,500. That was like a big amount, right? That time. And I took that iPhone, I went to Bangalore. And the idea was simple, that, I wanted to make iPhone apps for startups, right? So I put another ad in Suleka.com saying that, I'm looking for an iPhone developer. I found this like, small girl comes, she's very shy and stuff. And she says that, look, I'm going to get married in 3 months time. And I already work for Infosys, but, I need the extra money for my marriage. And I'm like, so I can work part-time. And I'm like, look, your CV is super impressive. Even if you start part time, that would be great, amazing. She started working part time, and long story short, in 2 years' time, I scaled that company from one part time developer to 70 people in just 2 years' time, and that was all bootstrapped. The iPhone was given to me by my mom for 17,500. I had like some little money to buy, like, two iMacs, for doing the thing. And basically everything was hustle. The market was very, very good, right? Everyone wanted iPhone apps. And we were just like selling, like, iPhone apps. And we had like official contract with BlackBerry as well. We were making a lot of money, to be honest, and everything was bootstrapped, right? Now basically what had happened is that, again, these are like early days. This is in 2011 as well. Again, like, VC was not really that active in India as well. So what had happened is that, we used to have reserves in our bank. So we used to, at any time, we used to have like at least 1 crore in our bank. So, a lot of these banks would get in touch straight away, like, and saying that, hey, you know what, we can give, you transfer the money to our bank account, okay, put it in a FD, and I can give you a OD of 50 lakhs straight away on your 1 crore straight away, right? So, that OD facility, it solves a lot of cash flow problems, especially if you have this kind of, this kind of stuff, and because a lot of, like, these we were going to investors as well, but investors were like, they were not really looking for services business, for to fund services business. And keep this in mind that, if you are trying to raise money from VCs for services business, you're going to get no. I'm a VC now myself as well. I will talk about that. And there is a reason for it, because, the value multiple on services business is at max 1.5x of your revenue. So let's say that, if you're doing 1 crore of your revenue, your business is just valued at like 1.5 crores. That's like nothing, like absolutely nothing. And I'll touch up on that as well. So basically, for these kind of, if you are in this kind of, bootstrapping a services business, or you have a creative agency or something like that, I would suggest that, if you are doing revenue, go for a OD. Go for a OD straight away. If you know that, the cash reserves are gonna come back to you, just go for a OD straight away. It is a little bit expensive, like 9%, 10% and stuff like that. But still, it makes much more sense than, like, going for like equity based kind of thing, because first of all, you're not gonna get equity based investment from investors if you're running a services business. That's out of the market, that's out of the picture. And second thing is that, if cash flow is the only thing, go for a OD straight away, right? And then with this kind of thing, the getting loans is like super easy, super duper easy. And I would also always say this, it's a little bit of a gray area and that kind of stuff, that, banks would be ready to give you a loan when you don't want it, right? It's always like this. Like, if you already have a credit card, you will have like 5 different companies giving you credit card. Okay, this is like psychology basically. I will also give you a very, very crude example. Obviously, for a long time I did not have a girlfriend, right? And I would be like, in the dating market, and nobody would, like, look at me, yeah, bhai tu kaun hai, tera muh dekh, that types and stuff like that. And then, basically I got married. And, fortunately, unfortunately, my wife is German. And suddenly, like, I'm getting like all the interest from the girls. That's it's offbeat kind of thing, but it's always keep this in mind that, it, like, raising money is a psychology game. So basically, what people want is that, they suppose, like, it's like, if a deal is very hot, right? If investors are looking for a deal or something like that, they would not even know what this business they are doing or something like that, just because they've got like one Sequoia of the world or Google investing and stuff. They're like, oh, Google must have seen something in this, that's why, like, I'm in, like that kind of stuff. But for small businesses, it is not like this. It doesn't work like that, right? Because, nobody is ready to bet on you for the first time. That first check is going to be the biggest value. And but again, who is gonna bet on you on your first check, right? It's like that first girl who bets on you, that, is like the, you should, like, put her on a pedestal, right? the first guy who puts that first check, you should put him on a pedestal. And I'll talk to you about that as well. So while this was happening, right, in my company, I was doing services, and I later realized that I'm not interested in services at all, because there was no innovation happening and stuff. I got you know and we started getting acquisition offers. So one acquisition offer was from a very big company. I cannot even name them, but there is a reason for that. And I went there. The talks were in the final stages, and then afterwards I say that, okay, please give me a term sheet. And they're like, what term sheet are you talking about? Your team joins our big company, and you get a job in our big company. So I was like, well, you know what? If I was looking for a job, I would have not done this kind of stuff. I would have, like, after my MBA, I would have got this thing. I'm not looking for a job. I'm looking for my acquisition amount, that kind of stuff. The deal went very south, of course, because that's exactly what, these are early times and stuff like that. It doesn't work that way. So what happened was that, so now you see that I've raised money from my mom, bootstrapping the company. Angel got angel invested from people I was working at. So these are the three ways already I had done, right? Now what happened was that my father had a untoward incident. So he has been living with type 2 diabetes for 25 years. So that's why I had to leave my company in Bangalore, and I had to come back to Bombay to take care of him. And then I saw that the diabetes is a huge problem, and I thought that I can solve this. But there was a huge problem that I could not code. So I was running, I was doing the business side of it, I was doing sales. I'm primarily a sales guy. I could not code, right? So basically what I thought that okay, I need to solve this problem. So what I started doing is that I started taking coding lessons from a 20-year-old guy. And for 1 year I started learning to code. I was like learning. I started coding in C, embedded C, and then objective C, and I started making like iPhone apps. And then I started working on a hardware solution, and I got like six fools, I call them, because they trusted my vision, basically. And I'm really thankful to them. And basically they more than me, they were more they just love the solution that we were building. And in 4 years time, we had FDA clearance, we had CE solution, and we had our users in 42 countries. And our first client was Intel, right? And all this, basically, the way I was funding this is, now I'm going to share something. So basically what I was doing is that I had hired like a 3 people small team, because we were doing like these iPhone apps. I still had like contacts and that kind of stuff, and these 3 people were like still doing client projects. So we had like a small agency of sorts within our company. We were doing client projects. The money which was coming in, the profit which was coming in, right, I would take like a super, like I was staying with my mom. So obviously I did not have to pay the rent. The food, delicious food, was on the table and that kind of stuff. All the money which I was getting, right, I was just like just putting it back in the research of that company. So again, we were bootstrapping the money which we were coming from, taking from the agency. I was putting it back into the company, right? And we did that for 4 years. And then now basically what happened is that our first client came as Intel, and they wanted 50,000 units of our thing. Now obviously for 50,000 units I needed money, right? And how could I do that? Now the problem was, it was not the thing about my 70 people thing where we had like cash reserves in the company, where we could get loan and stuff. And now this was a very difficult problem, that how do I raise money for my company, right? So then I started like doing angel investment kind of stuff, going to people and that kind of stuff. It was a very painful process. I pitched to 135 investors, 135, out of which 10 said yes. 10 out of 135. And and those 10 said yes, and they were all from US. In India, nobody could understand what we were doing, what innovation we were doing. Nobody could understand what it is and that kind of stuff. They wasted so much of my time, like so much. It was unbelievable. But I did not have an option, that kind of stuff. So basically what those investors said, stop wasting time in India, come to Silicon Valley. And one investor paid me like the money for the ticket and for the stay, and I went to Silicon Valley, and within 3 months of time, I had raised that money, right? And with that money, basically we served, we got those 50,000 units, and we served Intel. Once Intel came in, then straight away, like, all clients started coming in. And to be honest, in just like 10 months of the Intel coming in, we got an acquisition offer. And we got the acquisition offer from a very big medtech company in Silicon Valley. And the offer was so good that our investors, on an average, made 100x of their investment. And it was a life changing kind of a turn of events for not only just investors, but for those 6 people who are working with me as well, right? It just changed their life as well. And after that, basically for 2 years I led their India operations and those kind of things, right? And while this was, so you see that the we started, like, with bootstrapping, and from bootstrapping led to basically like the angel investment, and the VC investment which came in at the right time. And that's how, basically, so you see that, first is that, when if you're looking to raise money, I'll also tell you a little bit about what I'm doing now as well. But before that, to sum it up, right, I would always say this, that, when you are starting up, I will also just mention this as well, a little bit gray area, but this is, like, as I said, this is like a very informal thing, right? When I was doing that, the 70 people company, right, I had a long term girlfriend. She was Marwadi, and she was from Ahmedabad. I was from India. I was from Bombay. She was from Ahmedabad, and she came from a very rich family. And and she's like, and her parents, we were very serious. We were about to get married, and her parents were like, "Beta, तुम बिजनेस कर रहे हो, बिजनेस तो तुमको चाहिए, तो पैसा तो चाहिए ना, तो हम आपको हेल्प करेंगे." And I was like, "Oh man, this is like dowry kind of stuff," and I was like, "Man, you know what, I'm a very very bad person, but I don't support dowry or whatsoever and that kind of stuff." And I just said, like, "No, of course I don't want that kind of stuff," right? um and thankfully, basically, I said no. And of course the marriage was called off and that kind of stuff. And I'm very thankful for happening that. I would say the same thing, right? It's just that, no matter what you do, right, stay true to your principles. Stay true to your principles, because those principles are going to get you to the next level. Because what people will really believe in you is that, what kind of principles you get to the thing. People see that, and it reflects that as well, right? So, and that's why I would say that, if the first things, I call this like taking money from friends, fools, and family, right? Your family believes in you. Your friends, they have seen that, okay, you know what, the Shreekant must be like a shitty person and that kind of stuff, but he will not screw you in the back, right? And that's exactly what actually happened as well. That, in my medtech company, my friends actually invested as well. They are like, "Bro, I'm gonna help you," and they invested, and I made them like 100x money as well on the thing, right? So always like this, yes, don't, I would say that, when you're taking money from outside people, don't think that, you take a lot of burden on yourself. Because, if they are supporting you, right, you have that kind of thing as well, that, you need to make money for them. They are supporting you, and they are like the early people. Like, for example, I don't know, I mean, some person who has not met you, why should he take a bet on you, right? You should be the first. Like Elon Musk says that, "Look, you know what, I'm not an investor. I don't know, understand what other people are doing. I know what I am capable of, so I'm going to invest in myself." This is such a strong statement, right? You are capable of doing that kind of stuff. You should be like, and when you bring that conviction on the table, and other people see that, okay, this is the conviction, whatever, you guys are doing, other people will start betting on you, right? So again, the same thing first is that, bootstrap your way in, like, totally. Your main thing should be like, that you need to get the business off the ground. Your main thing should not be like to take an external investment. External investment is a very big liability, be it like a loan or money from your mom or dowry. Please don't do that, first of all. But or angel investment or that kind of stuff, it's a very big liability, to be honest, right? Bootstrap your way out. I've seen so many people, and I did that too, right? You work in a day job. People don't like hearing this, to be honest. But work in your day job, work 9 to 5, come home, chai pio, get started coding on your thing, right? The money from the day job is like coming in. You work in your part time. Kevin Systrom, Instagram, they did the same thing. I know this is like a little bit like not fashionable, and bootstrapping is not fashionable. As today's world, you only see that, oh, these guys are unicorns, they raise 100 million, oh, these guys raise 10 million, and that kind of stuff. Don't go by those news at all. The reality is completely different in the background, and I'll tell you as well. Now I'll tell you what I'm doing right now. So basically, what would happen is that when I was doing Diabito, which is a medtech startup, got acquired, right? A lot of accelerators in India would get in touch with me, say that, hey, why don't you mentor our startups? And I would tell them that, look, I'm not a mentor material. मैं ज्ञान देने के लिए नहीं हूँ. Basically, what I can do is that I can share my failures and how did I overcome those failures, right? And they were like, okay, that's great, amazing, that's exactly what we want. So there's this one startup, the accelerator, which was a partnership between Indian government and Canadian government, right? They basically asked me that, okay, why don't you do that? So I said that, great, awesome. So I started working with like women entrepreneurs in Bombay, and they were working on very early stage ideas. So basically, what I would do is that I would tell them that even before figuring out what a product market fit, why don't you figure out what a problem solution fit is, right? And basically, I would get like blank stares. But let me tell you that these women were very, very, very brilliant, very intelligent. So, for example, if they were like designers, they were amazing designers. If they were developers, they were amazing developers. But when it comes to like business, they could not understand the business concepts, right? And I would be like, why is it that they're not understanding? And I thought that maybe it might be a cultural thing. And I was angel investing as well from 2017. And I used to get like called from accelerators and from companies all over the world. So Volkswagen called me in Munich in Germany to judge their pitches, and I would ask them simple business questions to these early stage startups, and they could not get it. From there I went to Porsche in Berlin, and the same thing. From there I went to Telefonica, which has the largest accelerator in Europe. They have invested in more than 3,000 SMEs. I interviewed people, they also could not get it. So basically, then I realized that these early stage startups have a lot of needs, right? And mentorship is not a very, very scalable process. So what I started doing is that I started working on knowledge resources. So which means that how to raise angel money, or how to basically raise VC money, or what is a product market fit, and those kind of things. So we started putting like these knowledge libraries into our platform. In October, we went live. And from October to now, we've got 1,200 users using our platform from all over the world. And especially, they are like early stage startups who are not only just learning everything about how to build your startup, but also basically like, having team collaboration and productivity in place, and building their startup. And also, as a sideline, basically what we did is that, we made a small VC firm. So we are a $2 million VC firm. And what we do is that we invest primarily in startups in Southeast Asia and India, and from small checks of $5,000 to up to $100,000 as well. And we've already invested in 15 startups. One of our startup actually came in Shark Tank as well. So primarily we invest in like very, very small and early stage startups who have like like cutting edge technology, and we are sector agnostic. And so we not only just help people come to our platform, build their products, but also we've got a team of mentors, and we can take that thing to the next level. So so again, if you want to recap, I would just say that the first things first is that take the money from friends, fool, and family. Bootstrap your second thing is bootstrap your way in. Third thing is that keep your day job. Keep your day job until and unless you have like a problem solution fit, and then you can branch out and then do that. So these are the three things. The fourth thing is, of course, from the angels. who can, who believe in you, can write small checks. And the fifth thing is that, I did not say this, is that suppose if you are building a solution which you are people are interested in, that kind of stuff, maybe crowdfund it. And what you can do is that, you can ask them to prepay, right? Take that money, build the solution, give it back to them, right? These are the five things that, which are absolutely working and have worked in the past for people. And so you choose whatever works for you, and then just go ahead. That's it. Thanks. I think I'll throw it open to questions now. I've been speaking for a long time.
Superb, superb, Shrikant. So motivating, so positive. Uh, जो भी आपने कहा. So first thing, when a person starts their startup, most of the people say 90% startups fail, 90% startups fail. So they बहुत ही negative उनके अंदर आ जाता है कि वो कैसे अपना startup को करेंगे. So how to keep motivated and stay positive at that time?
So, great question. Great question. So, I when I started this, right, again, I had this thing that I wanted to be a musician. I never wanted to do a job, right? And to be honest, I was convinced, and I still am convinced, that I'm not employable. So, I knew that who's gonna give me a job, right? So when you're working in a startup, you have to have horizontal skills, which means that you need to know about legal, you need to know about accounting, you need to know about product strategy, design, development, and that kind of stuff. But the jobs are given to people in corporates or anything who are basically masters in one subject, right? So that is why you are employable, because you are master of this one thing. You cannot go and say that, oh, you know what, I know everything. And they're like, what kind of job are you looking for? That kind of stuff, right? So main thing about keeping motivations is that, my father actually taught me this, that, I've seen my father, what he would do. Okay. He was a judge. He's retired now. Before leaving for his day, he would stand in front of the mirror, and he had this small prayer of sorts, where he would say that, today I'm going to conquer the world. Today I'm going to get a lot of no's, and I need the strength to basically to tackle those no's, right? And that kind of stuff. He would say this to himself. And this is exactly, I had like a prayer, and when I was in the valley, and what I would do is that when I would wake up, I would have like a default thing in my mind that I'm gonna get no. I'm gonna get no. That is what it is, right? And then once you have that thing, that if you think that, okay, you're gonna get no's, you're gonna get slapped in your face a lot, a lot. And that's exactly what it is. That's gonna happen to you a lot. But you need to make sure that the default is no, and then how that you can turn that no to a yes. So I'll tell you this another incident, not an incident, but this is basically I truly believe in, right? When the Facebook was launched, you will have, there was this thing that, oh, I got 5,000 friends, I got 6,000 friends, and people would brag that, अरे भाई तेरा फेसबुक में कितने फ्रेंड्स है टाइप्स, राइट? डू वन एक्सपेरिमेंट, वो 5,000 फ्रेंड्स को ना 100 रुपया पूछो कि दैट कि मुझे 100 रुपया दोगे क्या? एंड आउट ऑफ दोस 5,000 फ्रेंड्स कितने लोग आपको अनफ्रेंड स्ट्रेट, भाई ये तो मुझे पूछ रहा है पैसा एंड दैट काइंड ऑफ स्टफ, राइट? बट देयर विल बी वन फ्रेंड वुड बी लाइक, भाई तू 100 रुपया क्या, मैं तेरे को 1,000 रुपया दूंगा. एंड यू नीड दैट जस्ट वन फ्रेंड, right? You need that one thing. The same thing is in personal life as well, right? It's like basically it's like in when you're in the dating market again as well, right? You will see, like, if you're a guy, bhale hi tum Shahrukh Khan ho ya whatever, you will face no from girls all the time, right? And that's what it is. But men face like so many no's from women all the time, but do they give up? No.
No.
Right? And all you need is just one yes, right? One yes, you are married and you are set. You've got that life partner with you who believed in you, right? And all these other women who have said no and that kind of stuff, forget about those no's, right? Again, in the same thing, business as well, you need that one yes from your user or from that client, and then you get like that waterfall effect. One person said yes, the other person will say yes. other person will say yes, other person will say yes, right? Again, the same thing, I will tell you again with this, very candid, मैं सच बता रहा हूँ ये, right? So when I got acquired, right, I called up my Intel client, right, and I told, sir, I got acquired, and I really, really thank you because you were the first one who believed in me, right? And he said that, Shri, trust me on this one. Your some things might be a bit easy, but the rest of the things are going to be the same. And when he said that, I did not understand what does he mean. And now I've started it again, right. Basically, I am like, again, I'm gonna turn 40, right? And again, it's the same thing. We are pitching, I'm constantly pitching to the employees, right, and my coworkers, and telling them कि that bhai tum aao mere saath, I'm gonna change the world and that kind of stuff. A lot of people say no, right? Again, the same thing that, with the users, they don't care that, you have made millions in your previous startup. They don't care if you're from IIT or IIM, right? They don't care ki that tera baap kaun hai, right? No one. They just care that are you like solving my problem or not, right? So if not, they're gonna say no. Again, like I'm pitching to the investors, right? The rejection rate is not as bad as it was previously, but I'm getting no's. I'm still getting no's from like good investors as well. In fact, they are telling me no, and they are calling me again and saying that, but will you invest in my fund? you know, you know
Okay.
what I mean, right? So again, as an entrepreneur, you need to have a very thick skin, and I do understand that, and it is very, very depressing. Like, to be honest, that what I would like when I started then as well, right? It was like this, that 1 hour, like, I would be like completely like happy because one user signed up. In the next hour, I'm like, भाई मैं तो मरने वाला हूँ. I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. And then suddenly I see that, okay, this client has signed up. Oh my God, I'm gonna be on the top of the world types. So, it's up to, that's why, to keep your motivations up, I totally understand this as well. I would say that, don't, if you are facing rejection in your business, which you will, do not make this rejection personal. Do not think that, people don't like your face, or they think that, you are a very bad person or something like that. It is purely business related, right? That is what it is. So don't take failure personally. Do not take that at all. Once you have, it's very difficult to do that actually, right? But once you actually, like, imbibe this feeling, you can go a very, very long way. It's difficult, it's not easy, I'm not saying that.
Okay, so we have one of our viewer, Mr. Raghav. He's asking, like, as in startup, if you are in an ideation stage, और जब आप investors के पास जाते हैं, they asked a lot of questions. So, what are the different kind of questions asked by the investors? He's asking.
See, first of all, I would say that, if you are going in the ideation stage, don't. You're wasting your time, you're wasting investors' time as well, right? Because, ideas are dime a dozen. सब लोग के पास ideas रहेंगे, हजार ideas रहेंगे, right? Whatever it is. But it's all about execution, right? And again, the same thing again is that I would say that, if you do not have conviction in yourself, why would anybody else have conviction in you, right? Unless you're Elon Musk, because he has proven in the past that he has done this, he has done that, etc., and that kind of stuff. But the question remains that, if you have already done this in the past, and you, without this, you don't require any investors, right? Unless, of course, you need external validation and that kind of stuff. So I've invested in startups. We've invested in like 15 startups already and that kind of stuff. And we have always invested in startups which have got product market fit, or at least a problem solution fit. So that's it. So we do not entertain anyone with ideation stage. Nobody does. No investor does entertain with just an idea.
Okay, so do we have different kind of investors for the different steps of startups, like ideation, concept, MVP?
So again, there are a few investors, or like accelerators, who can invest in exceptional people, exceptional students. Like, Antler does that. that if you're an exceptional student or something like that, and they may bet on you with an idea and with a small MVP and stuff like that. But I can count them right now. I can only think of Antler in India who does that. I don't know anyone else who actually does that and stuff. Again, I would say the same thing. I've seen people. I'm like talking to this one, entrepreneur. He is in college right now, and he's already making 15 lakhs, and everything he has done is bootstrap. He's done everything. He's used no code tools and done it and that kind of stuff. He's getting investor interest. He's saying no to people. So of course, like if that is what it is. Yeah, when you become successful, everyone wants a piece of pie, right? But again, the same thing I would suggest, that when you it's like when you want money, nobody's going to give you money. When you do not want it, you will basically getting a lot of people to come and help you.
Actually, I have a question.
Yes, please.
As an investor, what are the qualities of startups you see for, like, you have to invest now? So what are the qualities of a startup you see to invest?
Great. So the first thing is that we look for traction, right? That is the first thing, that because traction trumps everything. We do not care. At least we as investors, we do not care if you're from IIT, IIM, or Stanford or whatever, and that kind of stuff. We look for like a traction. So when I talk about traction, that the problem that you are solving, does it have like a at least a problem solution fit or not, right? So that is the main criteria that we actually look for. And the second thing is that if there is traction, and for some people, yeah, like some investors, like they look for like $1 billion market, right? That even if you have traction, but if you're not in $1 billion market, this is they are not interested in that. But we look for niche markets. So for example, if you're solving in like even like a small niche market, and people are and you are like scaling very very rapidly, then we basically bet on them. So essentially we are look for traction is the first thing that we look for.
Okay. So, as a tier 2 and tier 3 cities, startups, they don't have like a good networking. So, how can they connect with the investors?
Okay, this is like a very 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 sad thing, actually, to be honest, right? Because I'll tell you myself that investors are foolish people, and I hate them. And that's I absolutely hate them, because I would say that investors and who bet on like early stage or late stage or whatever, and people who gamble or anything, there's no difference between them, like, to be honest, right? So it's like a massive FOMO game that they play. When I talk about FOMO game, they are like, अरे इसने इन्वेस्ट किया, मैं भी करूंगा. अरे उसने इन्वेस्ट किया, अरे ये डील उससे आया है, ओ तो फिर तो मस्ती रहेगा. They many times I've actually asked them that, do you even know what this startup does? Do you even know that this founder does not even know how to code? And they were like, what, are you shitting me? नहीं नहीं, तुम तो पोपट बना रहे हो मेरे को, right? That kind of stuff. So sadly, it is like this, that investors give you more importance if the deal is coming from warm introduction from other investor, or like a this kind of stuff. And especially this is a huge problem for tier 2 and tier 3, this kind of stuff. So for them, again, I would say the same. For startups, I would say the same thing, is that screw them, screw investors. First look for traction, solve the problem. Like, I beg you guys, solve the problem, get money in your bank, and then you want to go to the investors only to scale. That is only when the scaling is the issue, then and then when you have this kind of thing, right, when you have traction, and you have like some kind of a PR, some publication picks you up and that kind of stuff, it becomes like this, it becomes easy. So again, the same thing I would tell you, that rather than you going to them, let them come to you. And that will happen only when you have traction. That will come only when you have money in the bank. That's it. Again, as I said, that in the same thing, when by 70 people company, we at any time we had this principle that we need to have 1 crore cash in our in a current account, 1 crore cash. When you have that kind of stuff, you have like, cash is power. That is what it is. When you have that kind of stuff, you know you will not take any shitty deals because you don't need them, to be honest, right? And then you want to go to and scale and that kind of stuff. Then you see that, look, I already am in a powerful position right now, but if I want to get to the next level, I'm looking, for a partner, the right partner. So let not just money be the thing, to speak right now. You need to work with the right partner. That is what you should be looking at. So yes, I don't know whether I solved, answered this question or not. But again, I would say that this is the sad reality of today, and it's always like been like this. But focus on traction, and everything else will fall in place.
Okay. So, as we are going to end the session, if you permit, can we take a last question from our
Please,
viewer?
please,
How
absolutely.
to Our viewer, Mr. Narendra, wants to ask that how to prepare your pitch deck for an investor. Any specific?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, if you this is what my the platform that I'm creating called Sketchnote.co. You can create a free account, and basically there are so you can there's a template where it tells you in detail how to create a pitch deck, right? In detail, you can do that. And just like that, I've got 108 such resources from accounting, finance, product development, design, tech, legal. So what I've done is that I've partnered with my law firm in India and my law firm in Silicon Valley, and we have come up with these most important agreements which are absolutely essential by early stage startups. And you can come there, learn everything about it, generate that agreement for free. Everything is for free. Make an account, it's for free. And then you can just get in touch with me as well if you have any more questions about more further questions about how to build a pitch deck. There is a free thing as well, how to build your pitch deck, how to create on that, and stuff like that. If you have anything, you can get in touch with me on my LinkedIn as well. You can, Devanshi, you can share my LinkedIn with everyone as well.
Sure. Thank you so much, Shrikant. Superbly explained. Your experience is really motivating. So thank you so much for your valuable time. Thank you so much, Akash.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you,
Thank you so
Shrikant.
much, Devanshi. Thank you so much, Akash, and thank you, everyone. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. All the
Till
best.
we
Thanks.
meet next, you all take good care of yourself and keep learning. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.